A warm welcome to the program. I'm Amarachi Ubani. This week, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Geoffrey Onyeama, was in South Africa and Namibia, canvassing support for Nigeria's candidate for the AU position of Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security. Amidst his busy schedule, our South Africa Bureau Chief, Betty Dibia, had a sit-down with the minister on other issues such as foreign policy, bilateral relations and the coronavirus pandemic. Plus, over 800 Nigerians are evacuated from Saudi Arabia as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs promised through the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. We'll be checking in on developments so far and our sit-down with the chairman of the commission on its performance in 2020. That's Diplomatic Channel in a wrap. Let's check in on other discussions in diplomatic circles and we'll be right back.
South Korea's energy ministry says documents about a potential plan to build a nuclear power plant in North Korea were meant to suggest an idea, but that this has been pursued as an official project. On Thursday last week, the South's state broadcaster, SBS, unveiled a prosecution indictment listing more than a dozen documents from the energy ministry that suggested a previously unknown project to set up a nuclear plant in North Korea. This raised questions over whether South Korea's President Moon Jae-in had sought any nuclear energy program for North Korea as part of his drive to restart inter-Korean economic cooperation. Many of the files were dated to May 2018, a month after Moon held his first summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. A team of experts from the World Health Organization investigating the origins of COVID-19 have visited Huanan Market, the now shuttered wholesale seafood center in the Chinese city of Wuhan, where the new coronavirus was initially detected. Since being released from a 2-week quarantine on Thursday, the team has visited hospitals and markets, as well as an exhibition commemorating Wuhan's battle with the virus, which included a 76-day lockdown of the city. On Friday, the team said members would be limited to visits organized by their Chinese hosts and would not have any contact with community members due to health restrictions. On Friday, the team said members would be limited to visits organized by their Chinese hosts and would not have any contact with community members due to health restrictions. The UK says Hong Kong residents can, from Sunday, January 31st, 2021, apply for a new visa, offering them an opportunity to become British citizens after Beijing's imposition of a national security law last year. The move comes as China and Hong Kong have said they will no longer recognize the British National Overseas Passport as a valid travel document from Sunday. The scheme, which was first announced last year, allows those with BNO status to live, study and work in Britain for 5 years and eventually apply for citizenship. Britain says it is fulfilling a historic and moral commitment to Hong Kong people following the imposition of the new law, which it says breaches the terms of agreement under which the colony was handed back to China in 1997.
Welcome back. On Friday, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Geoffrey Onyeama, was in Namibia for a private visit with President Hage Geingob. He came with one mission in mind, and that was to canvass Namibia's support for Nigeria's candidate for the AU position of Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security. AU Commissioner positions are expected to be occupied during the 34th Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the AU, which comes up between February 6th and 7th this year. Mr. Onyeama told the President that the African Continental Free Trade Area will result in the integration process of the AU working together to achieve its goals. He said he was sent by President Muhammadu Buhari to reach out to Nigeria's allies on the continent for support in putting the nation in the driver's seat of the Commission for Political Affairs, Peace and Security. The Nigerian delegation was reportedly received warmly in Namibia, as both countries share a history of which Nigeria supported Namibia in its quest for independence. Nigeria's candidate for the position is Career Ambassador Bankole Adeoye, who's held a number of strategic positions in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and other diplomatic missions abroad. He has also worked to inspire change for a united, integrated and prosperous Africa, achievable through inclusive growth and sustainable development, driven by the implementation of AU Agenda 2063 and the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Mr. Onyema's special assignment also took him to South Africa, where he met with the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Naledi Pandor, for the same reason. Now, our South Africa Bureau Chief, Betsy Dibia, was able to get a few minutes with the minister out of his busy schedule. And she raised issues with him, such as the ambassadorial appointments, Nigeria's foreign policy, and the country's response to the new variants of COVID-19 emerging across the world.
South Africa, although it's fielding a candidate for the same commission, it's also fielding another candidate for another commission. So they obviously can't have both, and it might well be something we could, negotiate for them to focus more on the other than on the Peace and Security Commission, whereas we're only fielding one candidate. They recognize and are aware of the qualities of our candidate. They also have a good, strong candidate. But they are chairing the AU now at the presidential level. Their president is the chairperson, and they also appreciate the importance of having the very best that Africa can offer in the leadership position in the Secretariat, because otherwise we're not going to be able to achieve a lot of the lofty ambitions of the organization and the continent, which is contained in an agenda 2063. So they recognize the quality of our candidate. There was a consultancy group that were charged with carrying out an evaluation of all the candidates, and kind of a pre-selection almost. And our candidate was the best finished top amongst all the candidates. So clearly his quality is there for all to see.
There's a new administration in the United States, and is there any way that that relationship between both countries will be improved, be made better in any way?
We've had good relations actually with the previous administration also. The areas that we maybe didn't see completely eye to eye was, I would say, they're putting us on this religious watch list. Their perspective seems to have been that somehow we are not that Christians are being targeted and killed, and so the total freedom of religious worship is somehow not guaranteed, or that they are under threat. Of course, this is very far from the truth, and I think, of course, there are groups in Nigeria that are pushing that narrative. And so, they're receiving it, but they also have an embassy in Nigeria and people on the ground. And we've discussed and engaged with them. And I think they are aware that it's not the case at all. And that, it's sometimes, these kind of narratives can take hold that really distorts the realities in the countries. So we hope to, it's a watch list to discuss with them and have us removed from that watch list. The other thing with the previous regime was there's a category of visas and for certain security measures that they felt we had not taken and put in place. They put us on a ban list with respect to those visas that could lead to nationality and citizenship and all that. But our understanding now is that this new administration has removed us from that. But apart from those two areas, our relationship with the U.S., have been pretty good. They've been supportive of us, the previous administration, in our security challenges. They provided, aircraft and other cooperation between our military has also been good, and we've been looking at increasing trade between our two countries. So, of course, they did not support our candidate for the WTO, although she had the overwhelming support of the membership, and we are hopeful that this new administration would allow her nomination and election to go through, because the U.S. is essentially the stumbling block.
800 Nigerians were evacuated from Saudi Arabia. Are there plans to evacuate any more? And also the issue of travel ban for particular countries over the COVID pandemic. Is there any plan in the works for that, given that the numbers in Nigeria are rising?
We're evacuating. Those are the numbers that the Saudi government has, presented. Those that were presented to us. So we brought them home. There are no. We don't have another list of Nigerians. We think that would have exhausted the particular batch that we're talking to. But of course, here in South Africa, there are also Nigerians waiting for deportation, not in the same numbers, about 50 or 60, we understand. So we obviously have to work to also get those home. And, regarding banning flights from countries over the COVID, the decision that was taken was not an outright ban, but enhanced measures, protocols for people coming from particular countries.
I know that foreign policy is not something you just change overnight. Is there any way ours can be or will be tweaked given the COVID pandemic and the things that have happened in the past year or so?
Not really, because I think that, there has been a lot of solidarity and cooperation amongst the countries of the world with Nigeria at the African level, with countries in Asia in terms of supporting and cooperating with us in the fight against COVID. In European countries too have also been very supportive. The EU in particular was one of the countries, blocs that stepped forward when the crisis started newly. So not really from that point of view, but what we are planning in the next few weeks with the National Assembly and others is to have an all Nigeria conference process to evaluate our foreign policy and come up with a new foreign policy direction that will be responsive to the challenges of today.
Okay, or more beneficial to Nigeria?
No, all our foreign policies are always designed to be beneficial to the country, but it's just a question of tweaking, as you said earlier, to take cognizance of realities. But foreign policy is dynamic; it's not static, So it, as you can see from other countries like the United States, for example, it can change from one day to the next. Yeah, so it is dynamic. And so, but the basics, we'll look at, and up to this point, we've always maintained that Africa is a centerpiece of our foreign policy. We have to look at that again, revisit that. Of course, this was born out of Africa anti-colonial movements, anti-apartheid movements, and so forth. But now the situation has changed. We're faced with new realities, insurgencies, terrorism, and of course economics, so our foreign policy approach has to respond to those.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Coming up after the break, over 800 Nigerians said to be stranded in Saudi Arabia are evacuated. Plus, a look at 2020 with the NIDCOM chairman, Abike Dabiri-Erewa. Stay with us. Welcome back. The first set of over 800 Nigerians stranded in Saudi Arabia arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja Nigeria. They were received by officials, including those from the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And these Nigerians, as well as the over 400 who arrived on Friday, had called for help via a video that went viral. It showed bodies wrapped in black polythene bags lying on the floor in a packed room. Voice can be heard narrating that they had been stranded for more than 3 months. Shortly after the video went viral, NIDCOM chairman Abike Dabiri-Erewa said the Nigerians would be evacuated on January 28th and 29th, attributing the delay in their evacuation to the coronavirus. Keeping her word, the Nigerians have returned to the country, but we're also learning that upon their arrival, after being told they needed to quarantine for at least 10 days at the FCT Hatch camp in line with COVID-19 protocol, after which the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will facilitate their movement to the respective destinations, there was an uproar.
You cannot touch me like that. I'm a woman. Don't touch me like that. Touch me.
The evacuees had overstayed their visas and were left stranded in Saudi Arabia. That's as far as we know. And we also know that 2020 was the year of evacuations due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission worked round the clock to ensure Nigerians in the foreign countries came home as quickly as possible. Earlier last month, I sat with the NIDCOM chairman for a review of 2020.
We're glad that the federal government of Nigeria during the COVID-19 pandemic was able to bring back, I think, over 18,000 Nigerians who were stranded abroad. And some, like those stranded in UAE, got free flights to return because UAE had said, listen, we don't want any illegal migrants in our country. So yes, I think well over 18,000 people came back to Nigeria, working with the PTF on COVID-19, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, our missions in various countries, and NIDCOM. We succeeded in getting them back home. Yeah. So the thing is, it's going to continue to get tough out there. Being a legal migrant is tough enough, not talk of being an illegal migrant. So if you go to these countries, you don't have your papers, and then you get into trouble, it's double jeopardy. Take, for instance, UAE. There are a lot of stories now of, oh, they are picking up blacks on the streets and locking them up. For months, UAE said, gave a deadline for illegal migrants to leave their country. Some went with tourist visas, started working. They said, we don't want you anymore. Then COVID came, and they extended the deadline. And they even said, we're giving you free flights. They gave almost 5 to 7 free flights to Nigeria. But some people still felt, well, we can remain and get away with it. But it's difficult. So there are a lot of people now being arrested in the UAE, and they keep calling on the federal government, calling on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, calling on the mission to help. There's not much can be done because they told you, leave their country. However, if you have your documentation and you have evidence that you're a legal resident, the mission will save you. But for those who are there illegally, you have to follow the laws of that country. So the message is always this: try to obey the laws of other countries. Of course, there are cases where you didn't commit any crime, will not allow you to suffer. That is the point. But when you do commit the crime, there's really not much we can do. If you commit the crime, you have to pay for it. But when you don't, we intervene and we say, no, 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 you can't treat our citizens like that. And we'll continue to do that.
We're still entering 2021 with the pandemic, unfortunately. And the question is what NIDCOM is doing to help Nigerians abroad, try to cope with the situation. Some, are living in countries where they really do not have access to healthcare, because we do know that some Nigerians are there illegally, as you rightly mentioned. So what sort of service is NIDCOM providing for these people as per their health insurance?
No, but we can't do that. You can't say what we can do is, if you come with specific cases and problems, we'll intervene. And I keep saying that there are some things we can do. For instance, you can't be saying, what's your health insurance in your country of residence? But when you get into trouble or where there are issues, you approach NIDCOM and we help. But during this pandemic, more of the calls were for, listen, we can't get our passports. The missions are shut down. And immigration attended to virtually all issues. Of course, if a mission is shut down, there's nothing you can do. But immigration even went over backwards to try and work on those emergency cases. Even the US mission here has been shut down, only reopened. and they didn't attend to people. So it was more of that, really. You know that, I mean, you went in search of greener pastures abroad. The Nigerian government is not going to be providing funds for you, but when there are issues, particularly with the missions, with communication, with wanting to something here, or you're in trouble, in a way we can help, definitely we do help. But I'm even saying that we got more help from Nigerians abroad during this pandemic. Our medical team, we're working relentlessly with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with the PTF on COVID-19, and they sent a lot of literature to the Nigerian government through the PTF. So we got a lot from them through intellectual work, came a lot from Nigerians abroad. They couldn't come home, but they did a lot in terms of sharing literature, case studies with their counterparts here. So we got a lot of help and support from Nigerian medical practitioners abroad during this pandemic.
And what are your hopes, for 2021? You do have one success though, and that has to do with the CBN, right?
Oh yes, the CBN policy of if you send your money in a particular currency, you remit it in that currency, is actually very delightful to Nigerians abroad. I know we've had a Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit. We had the third one. We're setting up a Nigerian Diaspora Investment Trust Fund. And in other words, you want to invest in your country, you can, and decide where you want to invest in. So the trust fund should be coming up soon. The report has been submitted to the Minister of Foreign Affairs. But one of the worries was this particular CBN policy, And then apart from that, the taxes, the levies charged by IMTOs are the highest in the world. In a lot of countries, it's below 6%, but that of Nigeria is over 9%. So why are IMTOs charging so much levies to remittances coming to Nigeria? If the CBN looks at that and reduces the cost of remittances, along with this they have done, which is you get your money in the currency you sent it in, it's going to have a lot of positive impact on diaspora remittances and diaspora investments in the country. And of course, we're looking forward to diaspora voting. So hopefully Parliament will pass the bill. It's going to be a tough hurdle to cross, but we won't relent in advocating for Nigerians in the diaspora to be able to vote.
I know many Nigerians.
And then again, a very good news is the visa policy. Now your passport will be 10 years. So your passport now, when you renew your passport, you get it for 10 years. And then secondly, you can come to Nigeria as long as you're a Nigerian with any passport. So if you're a dual citizen, you don't have to look for a visa. Just come to your country. Then you pay visa on arrival fees. So go to the portal. You get the portal, immigration portal. Just register for your visa on arrival fees, and then you come home. So whether if you have a dual citizenship, even if your Nigerian passport is expired, as long as you have proof that you're in Nigeria, it could be your father's birth certificate, it could be your father's passport, you're free to come home. So you don't need the hustle of going to get a visa to come to your country. I think that would be huge for Nigerians in diaspora, and they're very excited about that move by immigration under the President Buhari administration.
Okay, and so now the Ministry of Communications is asking Nigerians to attach their national identification numbers to their telephone numbers. For those who live abroad, a number of them do have Nigerian SIMs. How can they attach their Nigerian identification if they don't even have one?
Well, I think sometime last year, the Nigerian Identity Management Commission actually started a program with Nigerians in the diaspora to get them to register their name. Now they asked them to pay $50 or thereabout, and they felt, oh, why should we pay? But they explained to them that because it's a service they are providing abroad, if you come home to Nigeria, you get it free. But if you have to bring it there, you have to pay. But the thing now is, now you say, everybody get your name, we will block your phones. But here's the thing, NIMSI has a list of accredited agents that can actually do your biometrics and get to your name in several parts of the world. But right now, because of COVID-19, I think most of the agencies are down, and they're about coming up now. So what we've told Nigerians to do is, the NIMSI website too has been down. Hopefully it will be up, or it's already up now. You get all the list of agents on the NIMSI website. Now when they give us the updated list, we'll also put it on our website so that you can know where to go to in the country where you reside. And I think NIMSI should also increase the number of agents that are qualified to give Nigerians their name. So go to NIMSI website, and then we'll also place the list on our website so that you can and then you can also go to the missions and find out exactly where to go to get the agents. But COVID affected a lot of the agents. And for instance, somebody checked an address in the UK and it turned out to be a barbershop because it was closed down because of COVID. But the list is being updated and we'll make it available to Nigerians as soon as NIMSI makes it available to us.
This is where we end the program this week. What do you make of our interviews this week? Your thoughts are always welcome. You can reach me at Amarachi_Ubani on Twitter and at Diplomatic Chan also on Twitter. Thanks for watching, everyone, and stay safe.